Welcome to World Knowledge Channel. In their journey to explore the mysteries of the universe and improve life on Earth, famous scientists around the world have made significant contributions. Below is a list of the top 10 scientists. Modern science, influential individuals and their outstanding research have changed the way we perceive the world. Let's find out who it is through this video. 1. That is Friederik Otto, weather expert. In addition to research work at the Grantham Institute on Climate Change and the Environment, UK, Professor Frederik Otto founded the World Weather Attribution Organization in 2015 with the purpose of analyzing whether climate change contributes to climate change. Cause severe weather phenomena or not. She and her research team analyzed the role of climate change in the heat wave in the northwest of the United States, the devastating floods in Germany and Belgium, July 2021, and the cold wave in April 2021 in France and persistent drought in Madagascar. The results of her and her team's studies show that increased greenhouse gas emissions have made some extreme weather, especially extreme heat, more frequent and more intense. The report was released just ahead of the 26th Conference of the Parties, COP26, on the Global Climate Change Treaty, held in Glasgow, UK. Climate research is less often conducted in the Global South, where reliable climate data is lacking and local research capacity is limited. But this is the area most at risk of being affected by climate change and extreme weather. Professor Friederik Otto hopes that lower-income countries will be able to increase research in this area in the coming years, with support from richer countries. 2. Winnie Biona, vaccine warrior. In 1981, Biona joined a guerrilla movement fighting to restore democracy and human rights to her homeland, Uganda, and was elected to the Ugandan parliament in 1994. As head of the Joint Programme of the United Nations on HIV/AIDS, she always strives to protect equality globally. In 2020, Ms. Winnie Biona was one of the few people to warn that low- and middle-income countries cannot rely solely on donations to vaccinate their people. The only way to get vaccines to everyone, she argues, is to help more companies produce them and set up distribution systems to get them to where they are needed. However, vaccine development companies such as Pfizer, BioNTech and Moderna have tightly controlled intellectual property, IP, rights, and rich countries quickly used most of the vaccines. Some countries are now distributing booster shots, while only about 6% of people in low-income countries have received a single dose. Ms. Winnie Biona is co-founder of the advocacy group People's Vaccine Alliance, whose strategy is to attract the attention of powerful leaders by arguing that supporting vaccine equity will help these countries achieve the goals they are pursuing. Thanks to this strategy, the U.S. recently announced the abandonment of intellectual property protection measures surrounding COVID-19 treatment vaccines in the hope of increasing production capacity for vaccine manufacturing businesses. 3. Xangrong, Mars explorer. On May 15, 2021, Mr. Xangrong was very emotional when China's Tianwen-1 spacecraft with the mission to explore Mars safely landed on the Red Planet, marking the end of a 475 million kilometer-long journey. Fraught with danger from him and the China National Space Administration. This is one of China's 3 missions to Mars in 2021. The main goal of Tianwen-1 is to develop and demonstrate China's strength in deep space missions traveling beyond the Moon. Launched on July 23, 2020, Tianwen-1 arrived at the Red Planet in February and released the lander and probe in May. Currently, Tianwen-1 is heading towards an area that may have been the shore sea of an ancient ocean, where researchers will look for clues about the evolution of Mars. 4. Timot Gebru, AI ethics researcher. After retiring from Google, the leading expert on artificial intelligence, AI, founded an independent institute to raise questions about ethics in technology. Dr. Timot Gebru is an AI ethics researcher with a particular interest in anti-blackness in AI and around the harms this technology can cause to marginalized groups in society. She and computer scientist Joy Bualamwini found that facial recognition software performed worse at determining the gender of people who were not white men, a finding that attracted more attention to AI bias. Dr. Timit Gabru joined Google in 2018, where she co-led the company's AI team with Margaret Mitchell. They have created a supportive work environment for researchers of color at the company. Her team researched the potential harms of AI, giving Google more insight into the social risks of technology products. 5. Teleo de Oliveira, Variant Watcher. On November 25, 2021, Teleo de Oliveira, a bioinformatics researcher in South Africa, announced the discovery of a new variant of SARS-CoV-2. Omicron was discovered in samples from Botswana, South Africa and Hong Kong, China, with mutant spikes that can evade immunity. Previously, his team's discovery of the Beta variant prompted foreign governments to restrict travel to and from South Africa months later. Both variants were discovered after doctors and laboratory staff noticed an unexpected increase in infections in areas that had been hit hard by COVID-19. Despite knowing that if it reports another variant, Teleo de Oliveira risks being subject to new sanctions, as this information will have a major impact on the economy in countries in southern Africa. But for him, this is the right thing to do because the best way to prevent a pandemic is to act quickly. Jeremy Farrar, director of the biomedical research charity Wellcome, headquartered in London, said that the rapid identification of two types of Beta and Omicron variants in southern Africa has reinforced the importance of surveillance. Epidemic worldwide. 6. Victoria Towley Corpuz, Indigenous Defender. At the United Nations Climate Summit, COP26, in Glasgow, UK, several wealthy countries and charities pledged $1.7 billion to help indigenous peoples. Localities around the world conserve forests, protect biodiversity and prevent global warming by trapping carbon in plants and soil. It was a pivotal moment for indigenous groups, and much of the credit goes to the decades of work of Victoria Towley Corpuz, an indigenous leader from the Philippines who served for 6 years as United Nations Special Reporter on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples. Ms. Victoria Towley Corpuz has spent years traveling the world convincing governments, environmentalists and charities that indigenous people are the best forest managers and play a vital role. Important in preserving biodiversity. Today, she continues to work with indigenous communities around the world, helping them understand their rights and the value of their lands. She also helps indigenous communities strengthen their own governance systems, which will be important as they seek to propose projects and access newly committed international funds. 7. Guillaume Cabanich, Fraud Detector. Guillaume Cabanich, a French computer scientist, built a website to track the mushrooming problem of fake scientific articles. Cabanich's hunt for fake articles began in 2015, when he began collaborating with Dr. Cyril Labbe, a computer scientist at Grenoble-Alpes University, France. Dr. Cyril Labbe developed a program to detect meaningless computer science articles automatically generated using SC-IGN, a software originally created as a joke. Labbe's work caused journals to withdraw more than 120 manuscripts. Cabanich helped update Labbe's program to find articles written only partly by SC-IGN and locate them using Dimensions, a search engine for academic literature. This year, they reported finding hundreds more articles containing nonsense text, published in journals and conference proceedings and as preprints. To raise awareness, Cabanich and his colleagues emailed publishers and posted their findings on social media and on PubPeer, a post-publication peer review site. Cabanich also created the Problematic Paper Screener, a website for flagging and reporting problematic manuscripts. To date, Cabanich and colleagues have pinpointed nearly 400 erroneous phrases in more than 2,000 articles, including those in journals from prominent publishers such as Elsevier and Springer Nature. 8. Megan Carl, spokesperson on COVID-19. Realizing that confusion about coronavirus variants is growing online, UK government epidemiologist Megan Carl has completed a briefing document on the SARS-CoV-2 variant spreading in the UK. Southeast England in early January 2021. She then posted on Twitter to share the main points of this report without the permission of the leadership. Through daily shared status lines, she has become the face providing many early answers to hot questions about COVID-19 in 2021 for the British government. Megan Carl said one of her main goals is to try and ensure people are empowered to understand data to make their own decisions from a trusted source of information. 9. John Jumper, protein structure predictor. In his 1972 Nobel Prize acceptance speech, American biochemist Christian Anfinsen suggested, "One day, it will be possible to predict the 3D structure of any protein simply from the sequence of amino acid blocks." With hundreds of thousands of proteins in the human body, this advance will have widespread applications, providing insights into basic biology and revealing targets for the development of promising new drugs. After nearly 50 years, in 2021 researchers realized Anfinsen's dream by proving that software developed based on artificial intelligence, AI, can accurately predict protein structure. Artificial intelligence has predicted how two proteins form a complex involved in DNA repair in yeast. Protein folding is a factor closely related to their function. Scientists have discovered that currently untreatable diseases such as diabetes, Parkinson's and Alzheimer's are all linked to protein errors. In the near future, we can hope that the three-dimensional structure of proteins will be accurately predicted, thereby designing new proteins to treat serious diseases. In 2021, protein structure predictions using AI have made great progress with the introduction of the open-source deep learning neural network program ROSE-TTA-Fold, which helps solve the structures of hundreds of proteins. Not long after, the number of decoded proteins reached 350,000, corresponding to about 44% of all known human proteins. Currently, the AlphaFold 2 and ROSE-TTA-Fold source code has now been widely disclosed, providing a rich database for scientists. In November, researchers in Germany and the US used AlphaFold 2 and Cryo-EM to map the structure of the nuclear pore complex, an assembly of 30 different proteins that control access to the cell nucleus. Meanwhile, Chinese researchers used AlphaFold 2 to map the structures of nearly 200 DNA-binding proteins, which may be involved in everything from DNA repair to gene expression. Notably, SARS-CoV-2 researchers are using AlphaFold 2 software to model the impact of mutations in the Omicron variant's spike protein. By inserting larger amino acids into the protein, the mutations changed the protein's shape, helping to keep antibodies from binding to them, thereby neutralizing the virus. The breakthrough in protein structure prediction is one of the greatest advances ever, both in terms of scientific achievement and in its ability to form the basis for future research. John Jumper and colleagues at DeepMind in London have publicly released AlphaFold software, which uses artificial intelligence, AI, to predict protein structure with astonishing accuracy. Proteins are chains of amino acids that can twist and bend into many different shapes. The shape of a protein determines the function of most important biological processes. Researchers can discover the rules behind those processes once they understand how proteins work, how insulin controls blood sugar levels, how antibodies fight coronavirus are also determined by protein structure. He and his team have released the underlying code of the network, as well as predicted structures for most of the proteins in humans and 20 other model organisms, a total of 250,000 structures. The team is planning to publish the structures of nearly half of all known proteins, a total of 130 million structures, by 2022. Currently, one of the projects he and his team are most excited about is a map of the nuclear pore complex, a giant molecular machine that serves as the gatekeeper of the eukaryotic cell's genome. 10. Janet Woodcock, brave leader of the American pharmaceutical industry. Just a few days after Joe Biden became President of the United States, he appointed Dr. Janet Woodcock as acting commissioner of the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, FDA. Soon, letters were pouring in supporting the decision, some of which were signed by 82 rare disease advocacy organizations praising her leadership and focus on mainstreaming the cause. Incorporate patient voice into drug approval decisions. Dr. Janet Woodcock is a former medical doctor who spent most of her career at the FDA directing the Center for Drug Evaluation and Research, which is responsible for ensuring that drugs are safe and effective before they are approved. Approval to enter the market. She helped modernize the center's drug review process, opening up advanced clinical trial designs and pathways to drug approval along with complex diagnostic tests. In the 21st century, renowned scientists have played an undeniable role in providing solutions to the great challenges of the modern world. From space research to genetic decoding, they have brought new and groundbreaking knowledge to humanity. Although they come from different fields, they all have one thing in common: passion and a spirit of constant creativity. Their rest, the future of science and humanity promises to become more brilliant and prosperous than ever. If you find the video useful, please share with more people and subscribe to the channel. Like and have any questions, please leave a comment below. Thank you for your interest in following. Hello and see you in the next video.